The blood had soaked into the cracks between the wooden floorboards. She stood frozen, barefoot, her hands trembling, her brain still catching up with what had just happened. The room smelled of cheap cologne, dust, and something far more metallic. Her heart was thudding so loudly she couldn't hear anything else. Was he dead? No. ... He was still twitching. That's when she realized the knife was still in her hand, too. Weeks earlier, Rachel Torres wasn't the kind of person who made impulsive decisions. At 31, she'd worked hard to rebuild her life after a traumatic divorce. She'd moved across the country to Portland, Oregon, taking only what fit in her car. It was supposed to be her fresh start. She found a cozy little studio apartment in a quiet part of town. Bare floors, plain white walls, but it was hers. Peaceful, clean slate. Except for one thing, she didn't have any furniture. Being between jobs, she turned to Craigslist's free section. That's where she saw the ad-free sofa. Like new. Just wanted gone. Must pick up tonight. Posted by G location. NE 58th and Prescott looked perfect in the photo. Clean, plush, beige. The kind of couch you'd sink into with a good book. She messaged right away. Hi, is the sofa still available? Yes, come tonight. 9 p.m. Address, 5872 Prescott. Knock. Twice. Don't ring. Odd, but Portland had its quirks. Rachel didn't think much of it. Besides, she'd already borrowed a friend's truck. She just wanted a damn place to sit. When she pulled up to the house, something didn't feel right. There were no lights on inside. The neighborhood was older. Quiet, not many street lamps. She knocked twice, as instructed. Her breath fogged in the cold October air. A tall man opened the door, mid-40s, pale, wiry, smiling too much. He introduced himself as Greg. Come in. The sofa's in the back room, he said. Inside, the house was dark except for a flickering lamp in the hallway. The air smelled stale, like something had been shut up for too long. Rachel hesitated, but Greg seemed friendly enough, chatty, even charming in a nervous way. I just broke up with my girlfriend, he said with a shrug, trying to get rid of stuff that reminds me of her. Rachel followed him past the kitchen. No sofa. He kept talking. She said I wasn't normal. He chuckled. Whatever that means, right? She laughed nervously. Yeah, breakups are rough. Still no sofa. Just back here, he said, opening a door to a back room. The moment she stepped in, the door slammed behind her. There was no couch, just a mattress, duct tape, a camcorder on a tripod. Rachel spun around. Greg blocked the door, smiling in a way that made her stomach twist. You shouldn't have come alone, he said, voice flat now. Something in her survival instincts screamed, move. She grabbed the nearest object, a rusted lamp, and smashed it into his shoulder. He didn't fall. He laughed. She ran past him, but he grabbed her by the hair and yanked her backward. She hit the wall, hard. The knife, she didn't even see it at first, just a flash of metal in his hand. He lunged. She ducked, kicked, scratched, bit him. He screamed. She grabbed the knife mid-swing and drove it straight into his thigh. Once, twice. Blood sprayed across the mattress. Greg howled in pain, and for the first time, he looked human, not monstrous. Weak, she stumbled out, barefoot, blood on her jeans, tears mixing with sweat. She grabbed his phone from the hallway counter and ran into the street. She didn't even know where she was. She flagged down a car, screamed until the driver stopped. He called the police. She collapsed on the sidewalk. Greg survived barely. He was already on parole for prior assault charges. The free sofa was bait. He'd used the same Craigslist post 3 times before. One of the missing women was never found. Rachel's name was kept out of the press, but her trauma wasn't. She didn't go home that night, or the week after, but one thing was clear. She had survived something evil. 2 months later, While trying to rebuild her life once more, Rachel received an anonymous letter. It was handwritten, smeared with something red. "You stabbed the wrong man." Rachel hadn't slept a full night since that evening in October. The knife, the blood, the look on Greg's face. Therapy helped a little. So did the antidepressants. But no matter how many times she replayed that night in her mind, one thing never changed. She knew she should have died, and now someone else knew too. The letter came in a plain white envelope with no return address, no stamp, just slid under her apartment door. Inside, a piece of paper, lined, torn from a notebook, written in shaky black pen, and smudged with something reddish-brown. "You stabbed the wrong man." Rachel dropped it instantly. Her vision tunneled. She backed into the wall like something might come charging through the floor. Her roommate, Talia, was in the kitchen mid-laugh on a call. Rachel called out to Shaky. Talia saw her pale face and came running. "Rachel, are you okay?" She couldn't speak. She just pointed. When Talia read the note, her voice dropped. "Wasn't he arrested?" "He was," Rachel finally said. Breath shallow. "He's still in jail. I checked. Twice." "Then, what the hell does this mean?" Rachel didn't answer. Because deep down, she'd already started to ask herself, what if Greg wasn't acting alone? Police had found 2 sets of fingerprints in that house. Greg said one partial unknown. The detective handling her case, a woman named Detective Sloan, had mentioned it briefly, but didn't seem alarmed. "Could be the ex-girlfriend, or a roommate," she'd said. "We'll follow it up." But no one ever got back to her. And Rachel, exhausted, just wanted to move on. Now she regretted not demanding more. She didn't want to check Craigslist again. She hadn't since that night. But after the letter arrived, she opened her laptop, clicked through trembling fingers, went to the free section. .scrolled. Nothing, random junk, baby toys, cracked coffee tables. Then, 2 days later it appeared. Free chair, matches beige sofa, final piece. Posted by G location, hidden. Message for pickup. Her chest tightened. Greg was in jail, but someone else had access to the same account. Someone who wanted her to see this. Rachel stared at the screen. The chair in the photo was the exact same fabric as that sofa. Same lighting, same wooden floor beneath it. This wasn't over. Rachel took screenshots and rushed to the station. Detective Sloan wasn't there, so a younger officer listened to her story. He nodded but seemed ... distant, like he didn't quite believe her. Craigslist accounts get hacked all the time. Could be a troll, Rachel snapped. A troll didn't try to murder me 2 months ago. He nodded, scribbled something down, then leaned back. We'll file a report. But if no crime's being committed, there's not much we can do. Rachel left shaking. It was happening again. People not listening until it was too late. Talia came home to find Rachel pacing. I think Greg wasn't working alone, Rachel said. What if he was just the bait? What if the real predator watched, filmed, sold it online? Talia's face changed. You think there were more victims? I think it's a ring, or a game. Talia blinked. Then we need to stop it, before someone else walks into the same trap. That night, they made a burner Craigslist account, posted a fake ad, looking for a matching chair to a beige sofa. We'll pay for delivery. Please respond with photos. Within 24 hours, they got a message. I have what you're looking for. No payment needed. Just come alone. Username Pinefloor33 attached. A photo of the chair. The same floorboards. Same lighting. Talia ran a reverse image search. Nothing. So the photo was not stolen from the internet. It was real. Someone had that chair, and knew Rachel would recognize it. They set up a time, Tuesday 8 p.m. Talia insisted on going along, but the reply was clear. Only the buyer. No exceptions. So they came up with a new plan. Rachel would go inside, wired with her phone, audio running live. Talia would wait in the car, parked 2 houses down. with the location shared to her brother and 911 ready. It felt reckless, but Rachel was done being hunted. The address was an old duplex, near Lentz. The lawn was dead. The porch light flickered, and again, no lights on inside. Rachel's palms were sweating. Her legs felt like jelly. She had pepper spray in one pocket and a kitchen knife in the other. She texted Talia, going in, then knocked. This time, the door opened slower. A woman, maybe mid-30s. Sharp features. Short black hair. Cold smile. "You came." Rachel blinked. "Are you Pine Floor?" The woman tilted her head. "Come, see the chair." Rachel hesitated, then stepped inside. It wasn't just a chair, it was the same room, the one from before. Repainted, cleaned up, no mattress, no camera, just a perfect beige chair in the middle. Rachel froze. The woman spoke again. "He never told you about me, did he?" Rachel's mouth went dry. "Greg." The woman smiled wider. "He wasn't the hunter. He was the bait." That's when Rachel felt the cold of the blade against her lower back. Someone was behind her. She turned slowly. A man, masked, bigger than Greg. She screamed and ran. She barely made it to the hallway before he tackled her. The woman laughed in the background like it was a show. Rachel kicked wildly, reached for her pocket. The pepper spray sprayed blindly. The man screamed, dropped his grip. She ran, out the door, into the street. Talia saw her and flung open the car door. "Go, go." They sped off as the man stumbled onto the porch, hands to his face. The woman didn't follow Dot at the police station. Again this time, they listened. This time, there was footage from a nearby ring camera across the street, and fingerprints. Rachel had scratched the man's arm, but when police returned to the house 3 hours later, it was abandoned, cleaned out. No furniture, no woman, no chair, like they were never there. Rachel got a call the next morning. Detective Sloane's voice was firm. "We ran the DNA. The woman you saw. We have a partial match." Rachel sat up. "To who?" There was a pause. "To a woman named Marissa Greaves, Greg's sister." Rachel felt the air go out of the room. "She died," Rachel whispered, "in a car crash 3 years ago. Greg told me. He said she died." Another pause. Detective Sloane's voice turned cold. "Well, he lied." December 12, 2019, Portland Police Department. Rachel couldn't feel her hands. She sat across from Detective Sloane in a small, gray-walled interview room, her knuckles white, her fingers ice cold. She could still hear those words. "The woman who attacked you. Marissa Greaves, Greg's sister. The one who's supposed to be dead." Rachel stared blankly. "That doesn't make sense. He told me she died in a car crash." Sloane nodded slowly. "He told a lot of people that. But according to DMV records, she renewed her license 6 months ago. Same photo, same address she just lured you to." Rachel swallowed hard. Her stomach twisted. "So, she's alive," she said, "and she was there, watching me fight for my life." Sloane nodded again. "And now she's disappeared." What Greg had said after the attack when Rachel had stabbed Greg and fled that night in October, the police arrested him within the hour. He was found half-conscious on the floor, bleeding badly, next to a setup that looked too much like a serial predator's dream. But during questioning, Greg had denied everything. He'd claimed Rachel attacked him after he rejected her romantic advances. He even cried. Detective Sloane hadn't believed him. Neither had the DA. Still, something about his defense had sounded practiced, like he knew this could happen one day. Now Rachel was beginning to understand why. Greg wasn't just a lone redditor. He was part of something darker, and his sister was helping him. Talia's deep dive back at the apartment. Talia had been digging online while Rachel met with the police. When Rachel returned home, Talia turned her laptop around with a grim look. "You're not going to like this." On the screen was a series of archived Craigslist ads, all posted over the past 5 years. All for free sofas, chairs, old mattresses, or garage clearouts. All from different usernames, but all posted from Greg's old IP range, the same neighborhood, the same pattern. Some of these go back to 2014, Talia said. Before Greg went to prison the first time. Rachel scrolled through them, her heart pounding. Some had photos, same layout, same floors, same signature beige upholstery. But what stopped her cold was this. One of the older ads used the name Marie G. Marie, Marissa. She felt her stomach twist. She's been helping him from the beginning, Rachel said, maybe even leading it. Rachel's trauma resurfaced that night. The dreams returned, except they weren't dreams. They were replays. The moment the knife sliced the air, the cold metal doorknob under her palm, the helpless weight of Greg's body crashing toward her, the sound of his laugh when she failed to scream. But this time, Marissa stood in the background, smiling, filming, whispering something Rachel couldn't quite hear. When she woke up screaming, Talia was already next to her. "We need to leave, Portland," Talia said softly. "This city's poison for you now." But Rachel shook her head. "I'm not running. Not again." She was going to end this. Rachel returns to the house, the one from Tuesday night. She waited until the next day, noon, bright daylight. She called Sloan first, but the detective was tied up and warned her not to go alone, so she didn't. She took a lift to the block and told the driver to wait. She knocked on the door, no answer. She knocked again, nothing. The windows were covered in blackout paper. No sign of movement. She reached for the doorknob. It was unlocked inside the house. Again, everything was gone again, except one thing. On the living room floor, exactly where the chair had been, sat a DVD. No writing, just a disc in a clear plastic case. Rachel picked it up like it might burn her fingers. She ran out of the house, got in the lift, and told the driver to take her straight home. Talia was waiting at the door. Rachel said nothing, just handed her the disc. The footage. Talia inserted the DVD into her old laptop that still had a drive. They sat side by side, neither of them breathing. The screen flickered first, static, then footage. Rachel, from that first night, October, the room, the mattress, the panic. But the angle wasn't from a corner of the room, it was from above, like a ceiling camera. It had recorded everything, and then the footage jumped to Rachel's escape, her scream, her sprint into the street. Talia paused it. "Wait, where's the camera?" This wasn't from the tripod. Rachel shook her head. "I never saw a camera in the ceiling, ever." Talia pressed play again. The next clip began. A different woman, different year, same room, same beige sofa. She was crying, pleading. There were voices, male and female. Then it cut to black. Rachel turned away. Her stomach twisted in horror. This is a series," she whispered. "They filmed everything. Every time. Police involvement this time." The police couldn't deny what they were seeing. The footage had GPS metadata. It matched the house. Sloan and her team issued a warrant for Marissa Greaves, and she was officially listed as a suspect in an ongoing investigation involving assault, kidnapping, and illegal surveillance. Greg, still in jail, was brought back in for questioning, but he refused to talk, just smiled, until Sloan asked about Marissa. His face dropped. "She's dead." "No," Sloan said. "She's alive. She attacked Rachel. We have footage. We have DNA. We know everything." Greg shook his head slowly and said just one thing. "If Marissa came back, you're all already dead." Rachel moves out. But the past follows. Rachel and Talia packed up their apartment within the week. Rachel didn't sleep again. Not really. Even when she was awake, her thoughts looped like static. The beige chair, the locked doors, The whisper. You stabbed the wrong man. She tried staying with family in Eugene for a while, but it wasn't far enough. One night, she found a new envelope under her pillow. No stamp, no name, no return address. Inside, a photo of her sleeping, dated 3 days ago, and written on the back, in the same handwriting, "One of us always survives." 2 days later, police found a body in the Willamette River. Female, early 30s, face mutilated beyond recognition, but in her pocket was a wallet with Marissa Greaves' ID. Detective Sloan called Rachel personally. "It might be her," she said, "or it might be someone else." Rachel didn't speak. She already knew the truth. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. December 19th, 2019, Eugene, Oregon. Rachel didn't know what fear was anymore. Not the kind that makes you jump at shadows. She'd passed that stage. Now it lived under her skin, quiet, slow burning, waiting. She stared at the photograph in her hand, herself asleep, taken days ago. On the back, "One of us always survives." She read it over and over, but it never changed. Only one thought kept echoing. Who took this, and when? Because there was only one conclusion. Marissa Greaves wasn't dead. The body in the river. Detective Sloan had told her over the phone that the body found in the Willamette River was probably Marissa. The woman had been badly beaten, teeth knocked out, fingerprints scorched with acid, but the ID in her pocket said Marissa Greaves, and that's all the public would ever know. Privately, Rachel and Sloan both believed the same thing. That's not her. That's someone she used. She had done it before. Set scenes, left traps, staged rooms to look lived in. Marissa was deliberate, intelligent, and worst of all, patient. Rachel had learned that lesson the hard way. Flashback. The first Craigslist message. Rachel opened her laptop one night and reread the first message Greg ever sent her. "Yes, come, tonight, 9 p.m. Knock twice. Don't ring." At the time, she thought it was just strange phrasing, a weirdo's odd habit. But now she noticed something she hadn't before. The message was too perfect, crisp, no typos, punctuated correctly, like someone else had written it. Greg had been erratic, childish, sloppy in person, but this sounded cold, polished. She compared it to the message from the chair ad. Same style, same time formatting, same cold, tight tone. It wasn't Greg. It had always been Marissa. Talia's brother gets involved. Talia's older brother, Marcus, was a cybersecurity analyst. He was skeptical at first, until Rachel showed him the footage from the DVD, the stalker photo, and the Craigslist messages. Then he got serious. He did what the police hadn't. Traced the metadata, looked into burner accounts, and cross-referenced IP addresses. 3 days later, he found something. "There's a pattern," Marcus said, laying his laptop on the table. All the ads, every last one, were posted using rotating proxy servers. Very smart. But one slip-up, just one, and someone forgot to mask their location. He pulled up a map. There, about 2 hours south of here, a rural town near Medford. There's only one physical IP that lines up with all this. Rachel leaned in. "What's the address?" The farmhouse. The drive to Medford was long, quiet. Trees grew taller and denser the farther they went. Marcus insisted they take his car and gear. Talia refused to let Rachel go alone. When they reached the address, they found a broken mailbox, a rusted gate, and a half-collapsed barn. The house was set back behind trees, almost invisible from the road. No lights on, no cars in the driveway. They parked a quarter-mile away and hiked the rest. It felt like the beginning of something final. Inside the house, the front door was locked, but the side door, near the old well, hung slightly open. Rachel entered first, holding a flashlight and pepper spray. The house smelled of mold, damp wood, and something sharper, cleaning chemicals. The living room was empty. kitchen too. Then they found it, a small basement door behind a crooked shelf. Marcus went first. The stairs creaked. It wasn't a basement, it was a studio, and the walls were covered in screens. Some were cracked, others still flickered. All showed footage of different rooms, bedrooms, hallways, staircases. But one screen showed something that made Rachel's breath catch. Her apartment, the living room, clear as day. A camera had been planted recently. Another screen showed the Eugene rental house where she was staying now, live, real time. She backed away. "No," she whispered. "She's still watching me." That's when the door slammed upstairs. Someone was in the house. The confrontation, they heard footsteps. Rachel, Talia, and Marcus backed into the basement shadows. Then a voice echoed from above, soft, female, mocking. "You should have stayed gone, Rachel." Rachel recognized it instantly. Marissa. Talia raised her phone to call the police, but Marcus shook his head. "No signal," he mouthed. They needed a plan. The stairs creaked. One step, then another. Rachel stepped forward. Rage replaced her fear. She waited until the boots appeared in view and kicked the door hard. Marissa stumbled down the stairs, dropping a small pistol. Marcus tackled her. Talia screamed. It was chaos, but brief. Rachel picked up the gun and pointed it at the woman. Marissa smirked. "Go ahead," she whispered. "You want revenge? Do it." Rachel's hands trembled. "You destroyed people's lives, and you survived," Marissa said, like it was a compliment. "You were stronger than the others. That's why I liked you." Rachel's finger twitched on the trigger. "But why?" she asked. "Why the ads? Why the games?" Marissa's smile faded. Her voice turned low, serious. "Because no one ever suspects the offer of something free. It's the purest form of evil, disguised as generosity." That's when the sirens began in the distance. Someone nearby had heard the struggle. Marissa laughed softly. "This isn't over. Even if I go down, someone always survives. You're just next in line." Rachel didn't pull the trigger. She let the police take her away. Later that night, police station detective Sloan met them at the station. Her eyes wide with shock. "You found her," she said. Rachel just nodded. Talia was shaking. Marcus had his arm around her. Rachel looked tired, not just physically, soul tired. "Why did she do all this?" Rachel asked. Sloan shook her head. "We're still piecing it together. But this isn't new. There are signs she's been part of, or running, something like this for almost a decade. Recruitment, control, torture. She knew how to cover her tracks." Rachel looked down. "And the body in the river?" Sloan nodded grimly. "Confirmed. Not her. Still trying to ID. She staged her death." Rachel closed her eyes. It wasn't over, but it was finally exposed. Final scene, Rachel alone that night. Rachel stood outside, watching the rain fall. The quiet wasn't peaceful, but it wasn't terrifying anymore, either. She'd survived. She'd gone back and faced the very thing that tried to end her. And she didn't just survive, she uncovered a monster. But the voice still echoed in her head. One of us always survives. She didn't know if that meant Greg, or Marissa, or someone worse. But she knew this. She wouldn't be the one running anymore. The next morning, Marcus received an encrypted email from a burner domain. No subject line, one attachment, a video file. He opened it and saw something he wasn't prepared for. Rachel, in the farmhouse, standing in front of the camera, but in the background, another woman was watching her, and it wasn't Marissa. December 20th, 2019, Marcus's apartment 313. A.M. The room was dead silent, except for the hum of the laptop. Marcus, Talia, and Rachel watched the video loop again, and again, and again. There she was, Rachel, standing in the farmhouse basement 2 days ago. But behind her, visible for just a second, was a face. Not Marissa, someone else. The image was grainy, blurred by shadows, but unmistakably female, late 40s, sharp features, hair tied in a bun, eyes, cold. Rachel leaned forward. "Pause it right there." Marcus froze the frame. Rachel's blood went cold. She whispered, "I've seen her before." A forgotten detail back in October, the first night, the first horror, when Rachel ran into the street after stabbing Greg. She collapsed in front of a passing car. The driver had helped her, called the police, stayed until they arrived. Rachel remembered a woman stepping out of the passenger seat. Stern, quiet, just standing there, watching now. She realized that was her. She wasn't just watching back then. She'd been there from the beginning. Detective Sloane's discovery. Rachel and Marcus rushed the video to Detective Sloane. Sloane watched it silently, arms crossed, jaw tight. When it ended, she sat back. Her name is Dr. Evelyn Markham. She was a criminal psychologist, former FBI profiler. Marcus blinked. She disappeared in 2013 after being investigated for unethical methods. Rachel narrowed her eyes. What kind of methods? Sloane hesitated. She was accused of running unauthorized behavior experiments on violent offenders, secretly, pairing them with civilians in controlled environments, testing fear thresholds. Psychological collapse. Talia leaned forward. "You're saying she made real-life horror games?" Sloane nodded slowly. "That's what some reports suggested, but nothing was ever proven. She vanished before charges could be filed." Rachel stared at the screen. She's still out there, and she's watching. The origin of the Craigslist trap. Later that evening, Marcus broke into one of the older Craigslist burner accounts, one linked to a 2014 incident that mirrored Rachel's. Inside the account was an archive, dozens of videos, photos, notes, but one file stood out. A document, labeled Project Resurrection, Phase 1. It opened with this line: "The illusion of safety lies in choice." Let them believe they chose this. It wasn't about Greg or Marissa. It was about everyone. This had been part of something structured, coordinated, with rules, trials, participants, subjects. Rachel had never stumbled into a trap. She'd been selected. Rachel's breakdown: she didn't speak for hours. She just sat on the edge of the bed, holding that same photo, the one left under her pillow, now folded. So many times it was soft like fabric. Talia came and sat beside her. "You don't have to carry this forever," she whispered. Rachel didn't answer, because deep down, she knew the game might be over for now. But the scars weren't just physical, they were psychological, permanent. She'd seen herself at her most terrified, most helpless, and survived. But survival didn't feel like victory. Not yet. 6 months later, June 2020, Northern California. Rachel changed her name, started therapy again. Serious, ongoing, painful therapy. She moved to a quiet coastal town, got a job as a volunteer in a trauma recovery center. Her new apartment had no furniture she didn't personally buy, from a store she could walk into and touch. No more Craigslist, no more online strangers. The nightmares still came, fewer now, but sharp when they did. Marissa had gone silent after her arrest, but Dr. Evelyn Markham, she was still out there, somewhere. One day, Rachel received a letter. Real envelope, real postage dot, from the prison where Marissa was being held. Inside was a single piece of paper, handwritten. No greeting, no threats, just 4 words: "You were the best." Rachel burned it. She didn't cry, she didn't flinch. She just watched the flames eat away the last piece of their story. Weeks later, Sloane called with an update. They'd tracked Evelyn Markham to a cabin near Mount Shasta, but by the time authorities got there, it was abandoned. Left behind, 1 broken camera, 2 charred tapes, and a journal. Inside the journal were names, dozens. Some were missing persons, others were survivors who never spoke up. One entry read, Rachel T. exceeded expectations. Longest survival time, unexpected resistance, emotional override failed. Will observe from distance. Rachel closed her eyes. She had been part of an experiment, but she'd broken it, and she'd survived anyway. One warm morning, Rachel stood alone at the shoreline, barefoot, wind in her hair. The world soft around her. A little girl ran past, chasing her dog. An old man collected sea glass nearby. Laughter drifted from a family's picnic up the hill. Normal, peaceful, real. Rachel took a deep breath. She'd spent months haunted by the question, why me? But now, standing in the sunlight, she had a new one, why not me? She was still here, and maybe that was the point all along. Sometimes, surviving isn't about escaping the darkness, it's about carrying it and choosing not to let it define you. Rachel didn't win. She endured, and for some people, that's the greatest kind of strength there is. The end.